We have new winter storm watches, winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories that have expanded across the country as we deal with this snowy weather pattern in your live update today. That's going to continue, I think, but there are some changes on the way as we get toward the end of the month. A lot of the cold that we've been seeing starts to go away somewhat, but there are signs, subtle signs that we're going to talk about as to why that may not be the case, including a stratospheric warming event. It doesn't look as strong, but we'll talk about that too in today's video. Let's get to the watches and warnings and the new things that happened overnight and what's going on today and what you need to know on this Monday, December 8th. Welcome to the video today, guys. Here's the winter storm warnings. New ones now have expanded a little bit further to the east than what we were looking at yesterday. The weather advisories are flanking this, and that's winter weather advisories down to Raleigh, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, back into western Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, even parts of southern Ohio here. Winter weather advisories back into Kentucky. A lot of this, though, again, the attention I think needs to be paid here just to the east of Richmond. We have new winter storm warnings extending down the peninsula here and out to the beach with winter weather advisories to Virginia Beach. Again, several inches of snow possible here, up to 6 inches. Some areas maybe locally higher amounts, and these bands are going to set up. That's going to be the key to the heavy snow that's going to take place through today. We've already seen that snow start to fall across this region. Temperatures are going to be dropping across a lot of this area today as a decent cold air push comes in from the north, changing everything to snow. Now, further south into North Carolina, this is the newest NAM. It's a little bit colder. It's got a rain-snow mix over to all snow into Greensboro as we head into this afternoon and this evening, and the same thing over to Raleigh. We start as a rain-snow mix and then over to some snow. The heaviest snow, though, is definitely going to be to your north into Virginia. Then this moves toward the coast. The new NAM tries to keep everything almost all rain here along the coast and then over to snow quickly before it all wraps up, and then we're done with this system. Again, a couple of inches possible. This is the forecast touch numbers from the National Weather Service. Some of the modeling is showing a little bit more. European trying to dump a few areas of 6+ inches here, but a good solid 2 to 5 with an embedded 6+, I think, somewhere here. Get toward the coast, those numbers drop dramatically, but still maybe 3, 4, 5 inches of snow for the Richmond metro and then down the peninsula, and locally higher amounts if you can get those snow bands going. Look at the snow that's going to start to pick up with winter storm watches that have been picked up or have really been raised across the Great Lakes region and really back to the upper Midwest with some snow that's going to be moving in here. These winter storm watches, again, now extending from Green Bay north of Minneapolis. In fact, if you get in real close here, it does include St. Paul and the northeast side of Minneapolis. So it's almost splitting the city in half. But we do have these winter storm watches that are in effect right now. Even some winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories to the east of that, and winter weather advisories into the arrowhead of Minnesota. But this is going to be the heavy stripe of snow that comes in next from Fargo, again, just north of Minneapolis, down to Green Bay. I think there's going to be some snow in and around this too. And look at the wind, high wind watches and warnings across the west. Some downsloping flow here off the mountains. It's going to warm things up dramatically. In fact, temperatures tonight east of the mountains are going to rise. Let's continue to push the snow out in time. I want to show you the numbers that we're looking at as we head into, say, I don't know, Thursday into Friday. More snow on the way. And again, I do want to look at this a little bit closer. Remember, embedded in any of these runs, especially the European, I like it. I do. But I think it's going to be tough to pinpoint exactly where these heavier snow bands are going to be. But the fact that you're seeing areas of 6+, pretty interesting here. I think it's going to be an impactful clipper as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. And again, if you're just joining the live stream, you can take it back from the beginning. We're talking about everything, including these higher numbers showing up across Virginia. Some of these numbers more than 6 inches. Okay, so the exact placement of that band, where those bands are going to be, I think is going to be the key. Into the northeast, a little bit of snow here today. That'll wrap up here into down east Maine. Once we get into Wednesday and Thursday, more snow, and look, it picks up to the north as well, into Montreal, Quebec, we're going to get some snow. And then back into western New York, the lake effect starts to pick up. And look at the lake effect that starts to really pile up. Several feet possible, maybe in a few spots downwind of Lake Ontario, if we can get just the right fetch over the next couple of weeks. Further to the west, this is across the prairies of Canada, also the northern U.S. There comes our first clipper bringing some light snow into Minnesota, North Dakota, southern Manitoba, and Saskatchewan. But heavier snow here. I think this is probably north of Edmonton, though. As this system drops in, we're going to see that band of snow drop again, into parts of North Dakota. I think you watch this area. Boy, do we get the snow into Winnipeg. Maybe it's going to be really close with this type of trajectory and setup. And then again, more snow developing back across the west into the mountains here. That's not going to change. And then the next band of snow maybe a little bit further to the south. And then I think the pattern starts to shift. Look at these snow totals back across the Rockies. Just absolutely nuts here into the Canadian Rockies. And there's a closer look at those numbers into Michigan, Wisconsin, also Minnesota. Again, 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. And then once you get inside this purple, you're talking about 8, 9. Some areas, I don't see any 10s here. There's one right here trying to show up across parts of Minnesota. So, yeah, some decent snow falling over the next couple of days. And then across the west, no snow for the Sierra, right? Boy, it's been an unusually dry winter across California and the Southwest. Still going to stay warm, too, and the snow will continue to fly across the northern Rockies. All right, here's a look at the surface map through the next couple of days. This is where we're at today as we work through Monday. System through the Virginia is moving off the coast, deepening low pressure once it gets off the coast, and then we'll deal with some colder air behind this. And it is cold, I think, this morning right now where were we looking at? I think it was somewhere in the upper Midwest. Anyway, it was 1 degree. So it's cold right now across parts of Wisconsin, some areas even below zero. We will see some temperatures. Temperatures will modify somewhat, and then they're going to drop back down. But here comes that stronger clipper moving in with that heavy band of snow. It'll be windy, too, again, back across Montana, into North Dakota, into the Rockies. And then we'll see this swing off to the east, bringing quite a bit of snow here into southern Ontario. Northwest flow continues. Big wind, big snow across the west, especially the northern Rockies. But the southwest into Texas, man. This area that I've circled, look how it's just avoiding the winter weather, really warm across this area of the country. No winter for you. You guys are just like, what are you talking about? What is up with this winter? Well, it's definitely not in Texas. And I think there's another clipper that may be coming after this that could bring another round of snow heading into the weekend. Now we're getting pretty far out, okay? I just want to show you the pattern change I think is going to be happening. We've been talking about this the 15th, 16th, and 17th. It's going to change. It's going to happen, and I think it's going to get warmer overall for places that have been very cold. It also changes the trajectory of our winter storms. Maybe it puts something into the west. The European from overnight, I got to tell you, this doesn't look super, super promising for the southwest. Maybe we put some moisture in, but it's not enough. It's not what you want to see, right? If you're getting moisture, you want your troughs to dig in just off the California coast, bringing that moisture into the west. It's just not happening right now. Closer look into the west. We'll start here and work our way east. There's the rain and snow into the Pacific Northwest. It is going to be really windy and really rainy over the next couple of days. Some strong downsloping winds, again, will create warmer temperatures, warm enough. Look at this. Maybe some showers, rain showers here from Calgary down to eastern Montana with that downslope flow. Temperatures warming up tonight and rising, and then they crash back down as Arctic air builds in. And then the snow picks up into the Canadian Rockies, into the mountains of Montana, Idaho. This could get heavy at times. Temperatures were going to warm up here too as our flow turns a bit almost west-southwesterly. And then here comes that push of Arctic air heading into Friday. Here's a look at the snow again across the west. Again, not a lot here. Maybe some into Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana. But look, this is taking it all the way through Friday into Saturday, other than the area of clippers and then here into the northwest. Not much moisture across the southwest. There's a look at your temperatures. Mild, too. Look at Phoenix, really warm across this area, even into Texas, back up into the 70s. Phoenix close to 80 anyway, at least into the 70s. Further to the east, this is where the snow is going to be, and this is where it's going to be cold. And I'm not talking about Texas and Oklahoma. I'm talking about the upper Midwest. One round of light snow moving through heading into Tuesday. By Tuesday morning, it'll be snowing, I think, as we head into the the UP of Michigan and the rest of Michigan as well. And then the next clipper system right behind it, one after another. Really not much of a break. So by Tuesday night, the next snow's moving in. This is going to be the heavier band that's going to have more lift with it. So expect some decent snow accumulation, and then it's going to get windy behind it. The lake effect's going to come in off of Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, and it's going to turn really cold too. Warm air tries to move in from the southwest, overrunning some of that cold, so there could be some mixed precipitation across South Dakota, some snow on the northern side of that, transitioning to some rain maybe on the southern side of this as it slides in from the northwest. But this could put some snow further south, right? This is the clipper you're watching if you are in Indianapolis, Springfield, Illinois. Maybe, I don't know if it gets down to St. Louis. I think you have to watch it just because of the mixed precipitation potential. And then this slides east, and then another weak system moves in. And now the pattern starts to really shift up. I'm not going past this with any confidence whatsoever. More on that. There's a look at the cold today. Temperatures aren't going to rebound much this afternoon. We'll be in the teens and single digits in some areas. And then heading into Tuesday, out ahead of the system, maybe a little bit warmer, possibly getting up into the 30s, warm across the plains. Again, look up here in Montana, up into the 40s in some cases, and then temperatures crash back down. We're back into the teens and 20s tomorrow, even into Montana. Still staying relatively warm, though, but there comes that next push of cold here, back into the single digits and below zero range as we head into Friday, into Saturday, and this moves east. What it's not doing, right? This isn't sliding right down the face of the Rockies into Texas. So enjoy the warm weather. It's going to stick around Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, down to San Antonio, Baton Rouge. Nice. Look how warm it's going to get here across the deep south heading into Wednesday. I mean, we could be pushing 60s and 70s still. Bit of a cool down maybe as we head into, well, not really. I was going to say a bit of a cool down, but it's coming right here. So temperatures cooling down across the Tennessee Valley somewhat. But look, as we head into next week, these temperatures start to rebound pretty nicely. So we could be back up into the 70s or at least 60s here across Tennessee and Kentucky, with 50s pushing back into Indianapolis. But here comes another shot of cold. I think as we move into Monday and Tuesday toward the Great Lakes again. It's just been relentless. Not a lot of changes. There's that snow moving off the East Coast today. If you're just joining the live stream, go back to the beginning. We talked about that already. We're looking into the Northeast for our next wave of light snow moving through southern Ontario into Quebec. Again, there's that heavier band of snow moving through Michigan. It's going to move into Ontario. Warm enough that while we might start as snow here across southern Michigan this time, maybe even northern Ohio and Indiana, that warm air on the backside of this is going to try to pull in, and I think we transition over to some rain. The snow, though, is going to be here from central Michigan. I think once you get up here away from Windsor, get up towards London, once you especially get up towards Toronto, we're all snow, at least to start. Trying to mix in with a little bit of rain as some warm air moves in from the south and west. Also here across PA, same thing, sort of a rain-snow mix. And then the real cold comes in as our front moves through. So cold front will blow through, winds will turn out of the northwest. Your lake effect snow kicks in. Upslope snow into West Virginia. That could be heavy, I think, here with this type of trajectory that is perfectly aligned with the mountains. So we're going to squeeze some snow out here with that upslope trajectory. And then downwind of the Great Lakes, we're picking the moisture up. That again, the lakes are for the most part unfrozen still. So that lake effect could be heavy at times. And again, I think as these winds turn westerly, downwind of Ontario, I don't know about Buffalo at this point. But here comes the next clipper system as we head into Friday. That's going to put the snow from maybe Chicago again, Indianapolis, Cincinnati. I think watch this one, but Columbus, Charleston, West Virginia. Boy, does this give you the snow in D.C. that some of you have been asking for. This is a trajectory that would bring it. This is Saturday. We're tracking an impulse that is way, way, way out to the... It may even be out to sea at this point. I'm trying to remember where these are, but these are weak impulses. So tracking exactly where they're going to go, almost, I don't want to say impossible, but pretty close to it. But it's there, and it's still showing up today. So look at your temperatures today into tonight. Cold again into the Northeast. Highs tomorrow. Another cold one into Virginia, North Carolina, where we'll have likely some fresh snow on the ground. Overnight lows on Tuesday start to modify some as we bring our winds out of the west and southwest. So we're back up into the 30s and 40s, even into the Northeast, modifying some. It's still cold in Ohio. It's been a cold start to winter in Columbus. Cloudy, cold, and ugh. All right, and there's the cold again, moving back into the upper Midwest as we head into Sunday and Monday, with that cold not letting go here into the Northeast. All right, that's an update on the temperatures. Let's look at the upper level pattern again. This is what we teased at the beginning. I think there's a warm-up on the way. Okay, so once we get toward the 15th, 16th, and 17th, things start to change. But here's my problem with the long-term European weeklies. Hear me out. So these are temperature anomalies, 7-day averages, or height anomalies, rather. And when we look at the upper pattern, what I do see is this ridge clearly back to the west of Alaska. I would think this might be shifting a little bit further to the west than maybe it was a couple of runs ago. So we go back to, say, well, it's actually a lot stronger looking too, but it's also because it's closer. Well, no, it's actually probably pretty close. I thought it had shifted a lot. It really hasn't. But maybe just a touch back to the west. But either way, it's still here. You've got this ridge across the Bering Strait, right, just to the west of Alaska. But this troughiness that's back to the northwest of Hawaii tells me, I mean, when you see this type of setup, you're probably going to get, I think it's going to get cold in the east. I think this is still going to dump some cold here. You're splitting your polar vortex, still pretty warm in the upper levels. I think it's going to be more cold. And as we head into January, okay, I think there might be a bit of a warm up, but I think the cold's coming back even as we head toward Christmas into January. This is just long range, just some opinions, okay? No one knows at this point. I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea. But what I see that I think is just weird is these polar vortexes that are just split, right? I don't see this tight or really stretched single polar vortex. I see things split. I see this Arctic disruption. To me, this looks cold. I don't know that we're going to warm up. I mean, we're going into January. It's going to be cold anyway, but what a pattern to be in. All right. That's where I'm at. I do think that there are going to be some changes. I'll be honest with you, don't know what they're going to be at this point yet. But this looks interesting. January could be wild. I think it shakes things up too with a bit of a different pattern. All right, more to come. If you're a weather geek like me, used to work in TV many years ago as a chief meteorologist. That was my background in weather. Been out of that business for a while, but I'm telling you guys, once you're a weather geek, once the weather bug bites you, you're a weather geek for life. You're done. So if you're like me and you love looking at weather and forecasting things, today I would say there's a lot of, I'm a little perplexed to look at this long range. But if you like looking at this stuff, I'll give you my honest opinion. I'll say, look, I have no idea what's going on. The MJO is in a really weird phase right now and what's happening with it. We didn't even get into that. Those type of videos, if that sounds interesting, come back, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Have a great Monday.